Imagine a city that stood as the beacon of culture, trade, and power for over 1,000 years. What would it take to bring it to its knees? Constantinople, founded by Emperor Constantine the Great in 330 AD, was strategically located between the Western and Eastern Roman empires. Positioned on the border of Europe and Asia, it became the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantine Empire. Its location made it a vital center for trade, culture, and defense, bridging the Latin-speaking West and the Greek-speaking East. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD, Constantinople remained the heart of the Eastern Empire for nearly 1,000 more years. The Hagia Sophia is a historic architectural masterpiece in Istanbul, Turkey, originally built as a cathedral in 537 AD during the Byzantine Empire under Emperor Justinian I. It served as a Christian church, later a mosque, then a museum, and is now a mosque again. Renowned for its massive dome, intricate mosaics, and fusion of Christian and Islamic art, it stands as a symbol of both religious and cultural transformation across centuries. Yet, by 1453, this great city faced a dire and imminent threat that would forever alter the course of history. The Byzantine Empire rose as the eastern half of the Roman Empire, carrying forward Rome's traditions long after the West had fallen. From its capital, Constantinople, it preserved ancient knowledge through turbulent centuries, becoming a center of learning and innovation. Byzantine scholars safeguarded classical texts, while the empire advanced in law, art, and architecture. Before the siege, Constantinople was a thriving, cosmopolitan city. Merchants, scholars, and travelers from across Europe, Asia, and Africa mingled in its markets and forums. Its churches gleamed with brilliant mosaics, and the rise of the Greek Orthodox Church reflected the city's deep religious and cultural influence. Life in the capital was vibrant, diverse, intellectual, and rich with artistic expression. As peace reigned, ominous clouds were gathering on the horizon, the rise of a powerful new empire in the east. By the late 14th century, the Byzantine Empire was crumbling. Civil wars and rival factions weakened the government from within, while a failing economy left the state dependent on foreign aid. The growing power of the Ottoman Turks surrounded the empire, and other neighbors circled like vultures. Once vast, Byzantium had shrunk to Constantinople and a few scattered territories, its influence fading, its survival uncertain. In the spring of 1453, a centuries-old empire stood on the edge of collapse. Once a mighty center of the Christian world, the Byzantine Empire had shrunk to little more than Constantinople, a legendary city now surrounded by enemies. Outside its towering walls, a new power was rising. Sultan Mehmed II, just 21 years old, led an Ottoman army numbering up to 100,000 men. His ambition was clear: to take the city that had resisted invaders for over 1,000 years. But why did a young sultan believe he could succeed where so many had failed? What made this siege different? The Ottomans prepare. Mehmed's strategy was both traditional and bold. He brought with him massive cannons, engineered by Orban, a European specialist. These early superweapons could blast holes in even the strongest walls, a game-changer in siege warfare. He also constructed Rumeli Hizari, a fortress north of the city, cutting off vital aid from the Black Sea. His navy blockaded the city's sea walls, tightening the grip. Meanwhile, inside the city, Emperor Constantine XI commanded a defense of barely 7,000 soldiers, including 2,000 foreign mercenaries. Among them was the famed Giovanni Giustiniani, a skilled Genoese commander. The odds were impossible, but the defenders weren't just relying on men. They had something else on their side: the most legendary fortifications in the world, the walls of Constantinople. The Theodosian walls had stopped armies for centuries. Triple-layered stone barriers, reinforced towers, and a wide moat. Constantinople was built to endure. But even these walls couldn't ignore time. Crumbling in places, hastily repaired with limited resources, they now faced bombardment from the largest cannons ever seen in Europe. The Ottoman bombardment began on April 6th. Day and night, the city shook. Still, the defenders held fast, patching breaches, launching counterattacks, and holding prayer services beneath the ancient dome of the Hagia Sophia. Yet just when it seemed the siege had found its rhythm, Mehmed unleashed a shocking move. one that stunned even his enemies. Ships on land. Unable to breach the Golden Horn, the northern waterway protected by a giant chain, Mehmed did the unthinkable. His men dragged ships overland, placing them behind the defensive chain by rolling them over greased logs. In a single night, Ottoman warships appeared inside the harbor. The psychological impact was immense. The defenders were stretched even thinner now, forced to guard against attack from the sea and land. Still, they fought with courage. On April 20th, Byzantine and Genoese ships broke through the Ottoman blockade, delivering a much-needed morale boost. But this victory was brief. Behind the walls, people began whispering, "How long can we hold out?" Outside the walls, Mehmed was preparing for a final, devastating blow. The final night. By late May, Mehmed was ready. On the night of May 28th, the Ottomans held prayers and marched under banners of green. Inside the city, candles flickered in the Hagia Sophia. Orthodox and Catholic Christians stood together, singing hymns and offering what might be their final prayers. The city had held for nearly 2 months. But supplies were low, morale was fragile, and the walls had begun to crack. Constantine, the last emperor of Byzantium, refused to flee. He would die with his city if needed. As dawn broke on May 29th, 3 waves of attackers rushed the walls. The first 2 failed. The third would change history. The fall. The third wave included the Janissaries, the Ottomans' elite shock troops. Fighting was brutal and chaotic. Giustiniani was wounded, and his retreat threw parts of the defense into confusion. Then came the turning point, the Kirkaporta Gate, a small entrance possibly left unguarded or breached. Ottoman soldiers stormed through. The walls were compromised. Constantine XI is said to have thrown off his imperial regalia and charged into the battle. He was never seen again. Within hours, the Ottomans were in the city. The defenders were overrun. The Hagia Sophia was converted into a mosque. The once proud city, capital of the Roman world for 1,000 years, had fallen. But the end of Constantinople wasn't just the fall of a city. It was the end of an era and the beginning of something entirely new. Legacy. Mehmed II walked into Constantinople not just as a conqueror, but as a man with vision. He spared parts of the city, began rebuilding it, and made it the new capital of the Ottoman Empire. He took the title Kaisari Rome, Caesar of Rome, claiming to be the heir of the Roman legacy. The fall sent shockwaves across Europe. It ended the Byzantine Empire, but it also helped spark the Renaissance, as fleeing scholars carried ancient knowledge westward. New trade routes were explored, new alliances forged, and the shape of Europe and the world began to shift. The Siege of Constantinople in 1453 wasn't just a military conquest. It was a line drawn between the medieval and modern worlds, between empires that had ended and empires yet to rise. If you enjoyed this journey through history, let me know, like the video, drop a comment, and share your thoughts. And most importantly, support the channel by subscribing. It's simple, but it helps me bring you deeper, richer stories from the past. Thanks for watching. You're part of this legacy now. New videos every week, only on Cyber-Theo.